What's the worst Christmas present you have received? My husband's stepmother gave me, a 36-year-old at the time, a kindergarten-size backpack, and when I opened it she said, "I actually bought that for a child a few years ago, and she hated it, so I threw it in a closet and I saw it, and thought you'd like it." None of us did. We all think it's ugly. That same year they gave my 3 kids gifts totaling altogether 15 with the clearance stickers on them, while her biological granddaughter opened a 300 unicorn, which they made sure we knew cost 300, and then they pointed out to everyone our clearance stickers and what great deals they weren't. And then they made my kids leave the room so the granddaughter could take pics alone with her unicorn. It was the last Christmas we visited them. LOL. I had grandparents like that. My dad adopted me, and his parents adopted him. I'd get a 20 book, and then they'd tell me about all the wonderful gifts they'd gotten their real grandchildren. They were the only paternal grandparents I'd ever known. I was 3 when I met them. When I was 12 I bought myself a Kindle. Me and my sister spent an entire summer working for our grandpa and stepdad to save up for them, each of us spending about $200. My mom got all 3 of my brothers a Kindle for Christmas, and I got some clothes from Old Navy. I was livid, and when I talked to my mom about it, she told me that my sister and I had been excluding our brothers from hanging out while we played video games, and it was unfair. She never apologized or saw anything wrong with what she did, and I honestly still haven't forgiven her almost a decade later. My mum is notorious for bad presents. I've had such delights as toothpaste and vitamin pills wrapped up for me at Christmas. But one that stands out was a car crash kit. It had a disposable camera for recording the scene, a form for both parties to fill out, a tape measure for measuring, I don't know stuff, and some chalk for what I assume was for marking out where the dead bodies landed, or something. I don't know. When the Tamagotchi craze was in full swing, my siblings and I asked for one. My sisters both got one, and I got a jacket because mine was torn up and small. When I asked my dad why I didn't get one and if Santa thought I did something bad that year, he told me I was too old for Santa and needed to learn life isn't fair. I was 8. My sisters were 7 and 5. From that point forward I only ever received clothing. Needed to learn life isn't fair. The real gift was your dad outing himself as a colossal asshole, so you'd never wonder if you were part of the problem. A dish towel. I was 8 years old. Oh, yeah. That was very common in my country until recently. Especially the older members of the family would give household gifts to the children. Especially the girls. It's based on the tradition of the couple moving into the same household after marriage. Usually the women would bring the household furnishings to the marriage. So from a young age, girls receive gifts like this and gradually build up this equipment so that families don't have to buy it all at once. This was especially common among less affluent families. An elementary school teacher of mine once told us the story of how she received a set of towels from her grandmother for Christmas when she was about 8. This was in the 1940s. From her grandmother's point of view, it was a generous gift that she had carefully chosen and had to save money for all year. But it was a terrible disappointment for an 8-year-old girl, and she didn't hide it. She said she later regretted her reaction, which is obvious because she still remembered it. Even at 70, she told us this story to teach us a lesson about gratitude. The time I was really into Green Day and the emerging alternative music of the mid-90s, and my mom bought me a few CDs back when CDs were something stupid like 20 each. Wow, awesome gift. Except the CDs were Tony Braxton and Mariah Carey and something else I've completely forgotten. Or the Christmases when my brother would get a pile of presents or something pretty expensive for football table, air hockey table, etc. And I'd get a couple books and lip gloss. I love those things. So the gifts themselves weren't bad. But I was clearly not the favored child. In the aftermath of gift opening, Mom would look at the pile my brother got and the few gifts I got, then make a big show of stomping around the house claiming she knows she got more for me. She must have misplaced all the other gifts. Without fail. For several years in a row, she misplaced my gifts because she realized in the moment that she spent way more on my brother than me. Never once did she find these misplaced gifts. And to make it worse, My birthday is shortly after Christmas, so I never got much for my birthday because the budget was blown on Christmas. My brother claims he remembers me getting shitty birthday gifts, and I was always jealous of his. I don't have any memory of that, but it very well could be. The worst birthday was the year I only got a Bible with my name stamped on the front in gold lettering. That's a birthday I remember quite clearly. Looking back, it wasn't a bad present, but when I got a pair of pants for Christmas when I was 6, I started crying and screamed out, "You're supposed to get me these anyways." When I was 10 years old, my grandparents gave me an unwrapped suitcase for Christmas. In the interests of convenience, they used that suitcase for the wrapped presents for my sisters. I have a sad suitcase story too. My grandparents were the co-signers for me to go to college. 2 weeks before I'm supposed to leave, they changed their mind because of some news article that scared them. I was beyond devastated, but it was what it was. A few weeks later was my birthday, of which I had spent working my fast food job, and was just a miserable day. I come home, and they gift me a suitcase. The suitcase that was meant to be a graduation gift for when I left for college. Took a lot to hold the tears back on that one, haha. The year I gave my ex-husband a Tag Heuer watch, he gave me a 19.99 Walmart blender. We already had 3 blenders. Hey Mary, ask me what time it is. Go on. Don't say it, John. I swear to God. It's blender time. Switches on all 4 blenders. John. Please, it's 4 AM. Since my dad isn't on Reddit, I will share his story for him. When he was young, he was heck bent on becoming a drummer. He would make full drum kits out of my grandmother's pots and pans, and whatever he could find. Very detailed setups. After months and months of building drum sets and drumming on anything he could find, he woke up Christmas morning to an acoustic guitar and guitar lessons. He told me he took a few lessons and would always end up flipping the guitar over in the class with the other students and just play it like bongos. This was actually a recent one. Been with my girlfriend for like 2-3 years now. Her family considers me a part of their family, but my girlfriend's mom and aunt are probably the most hypocritical and batshit insane people you could ever meet. Aunt believes that if you use a GPS, you are a bitch that doesn't deserve to live in that state. She proceeded to get everyone lost when she was driving us around on vacation. She lives in Florida for 27 years by that time. The mom is a manipulative narcissist that actually said to my girlfriend and a mutual friend of ours that the only reason she has my girlfriend around is because she is the person that she uses to let her anger out on. That is, yells about nonsensical crap, pushes her, or makes her feel like she is worth nothing 24/7. For Christmas, I went over to my girlfriend's home to celebrate with them. Before celebrating with my girlfriend to my house, got a present from the aunt who sent something over. I received a single rubber duck that had the bottom torn out. A note was stuffed in the opening, and on that note was the sentence, "If you are reading this, you killed the birdie," and a painted rock that was just painted black with the words "Best Buds" on it. The mom was the worst one though. I got a nutcracker. I didn't fully understand it at the time, but I finally got it when my girlfriend's dad took me aside and said in a hushed tone, "I'm sorry for the gift, but Trey has given that to eldest daughter's boyfriends as a threat." That's right. I got a broken rubber duck that blamed me for killing it, a painted rock, and a threat that if I did anything to hurt my girlfriend more than what the mom already does, that her mother will use the nutcracker. A set of miniature butter knives with ceramic fruit and vegetables as the handles. From an aunt who said that I was so hard to shop for. I was 7. I'm just imagining her standing in the kitchen apartment being like, "Welp, I've checked this whole aisle trying to find something for that picky niece nephew of mine. Guess they're getting butter knives. Kids like vegetables, right?" A comic book that was laying around the house for several months, which I read twice in this period. I didn't know it was supposed to be my surprise present. A Lamborghini calendar. My brother got a guitar and amp. My 2 sisters got a bike each. Duck, I hate Lamborghinis now. My grandparents got my sister a guitar once. Not to mention all the other things. I've never gotten more than that shirt, mug, toiletries gift pack, or cheap off-brand Nerf gun pack to share with my dad. My deadbeat dad brought 9-year-old girl me motel shampoo and an adult men's shirt he got for free. Wish I was joking. My husband's uncle called me 4 times on my birthday before 8 AM, leaving cryptic voicemails about how he needed to talk to me as soon as possible. I thought someone died. I called back maybe 20-30 minutes later when I was fully awake, and he told me to rush over to his house. I get there and he says he had a gift for me, wanted to make sure I got it on my birthday, and pulls a men's polo out of his laundry basket and says, I saw this and knew you'd love it. I'm a petite woman who doesn't wear polos. He found a men's large polo shirt in the back of his closet that he was given at some event 15+ years ago, and somehow thought that was emergency worthy, but also didn't need to even put it in a gift bag or anything. Crumpled in the laundry to my hand. It's been almost 3 years and I'm still perplexed by it. My mom asked what my 13-year-old daughter wanted for Christmas and I said she likes to sew. How this led to our entire extended family buying her nothing but yarn I do not know. That was 2 years ago, and there's still so much yarn. What makes this hilarious is that it didn't say she likes to knit. They heard sew and somehow made the jump to yarn. I participated in a voluntary office Christmas exchange in 2012 with a 30 limit. My gift was a CDR of the giver's favorite album. I was less than enthused, but nonetheless slid the disc into my car to check it out only to find out that it was blank. The person had written the band name album title on the disc, but forgot to actually burn a copy. Edit, it was supposed to be the album Spit by Kitty. Titanic DVD, pirated copy. Already seen it before twice. Didn't have a case. Just had Titanic written in marker pen. It didn't belong to the person who gifted it. The DVD was scratched and didn't even play. One year I got what was actually a super cool present. My parents had worked for months putting together this awesome art kit. It was a big toolbox filled with good scissors, glue, paint, colored pencils, glitter, and every other thing a crafty little kid could want. The problem was, every time they would go upstairs to add to it, they had a running joke where they would say, we are going upstairs to feed your present, or we need to take your present for a walk TTT. So of course on Christmas morning, instead of being a little kid who was stoked to get a huge box of art supplies, I was a little kid who was devastated that I didn't get a puppy. My sister's father. I wanted Pokemon Sapphire or Ruby so bad for Christmas, it was the only thing I asked for. A few days before Christmas he came home with a GBA cartridge, wrapped in wrapping paper, and set it on one of the Christmas tree branches. He said you can't open it until Christmas excitedly, so my 3rd grade brain assumed he had gotten what I asked for. Christmas Day comes, and I open it immediately to see Ice Age to the meltdown staring at me. It was the first time I faked liking a present. Edit, holy shit. Thanks guys. For those wondering, I did indeed get the game a year later. My mom's good friend bought a used version of Sapphire for me. Every year my aunt gives our family thrift center gifts. Like a bunch. From thrift stores. The thing is, nothing relates to anything. The worst I've gotten are among a Kama Sutra book when I was 13, 14 awkward, and a New York Yankees baby Onishi. I don't have kids. I don't watch baseball. One time when I was 10, my mum gave me by brother a packet of plastic rainbow bendy straws each for Christmas. She was mad at our dad for having brought us back 3 days late from his part of the holidays, took it out on us. Being a contrary soul, I happily took my brother's discarded pack, proceeded to make a million rainbow flutes that I would incessantly try to learn to play. For the next 2 months, I suspect she lived to regret her choice, since I also never cleaned any of my discarded flutes up. An ex gave me an engagement ring for herself, on the idea that I would use it to propose to her. She also gave specific instructions on how and when I should do it, as well as stipulations that she would be the one planning our wedding. We had a terrible relationship, and I had been planning on breaking up with her right after the holidays, which I did. I couldn't understand how she thought we were even close to being on the same page. And once it was all over I realized the obvious, and what everyone was trying to tell me for 3 years: I was in an abusive relationship. Still, who the heck buys a ring for someone to give back to them? It's just bad gifting. My aunt is very eccentric and would always ask for a Christmas list from me. So, for a few years, I would send her a list, only to realize that she would give me something from the dollar store, wrapped in our used wrapping paper from the previous Christmas. I once got cologne from the dollar store when I was 8 or 9, and she wasn't poor, quite the opposite. She had a lovely house and a pretty high income job. She was just a little messed up mentally. So, one year, when I was 11 or 12, I thought I'm only going to ask for one thing and see what happens: a Seattle Seahawks shirt. The package arrived, and the day came, and it was indeed that shirt. I used Buffalo Bills shirt with some stains on the logo. It was the right size, though. My cousin once gave me an autographed picture of himself, which was funny as heck, so I didn't mind. A box of Top Ramen. Just a standard grocery box of ramen bags. It was wrapped up with a nice bow too, and it was not gifted as a joke. My family knew I was having financial troubles and was only eating one meal a day. They honestly thought they were helping me out. This one's really insulting, because if they really wanted to help they could have gotten you more expensive essentials. But they just gave you what was the cheapest. Last year my mom bought me a can opener, wrapped it and gave it to me when everyone was gathered around exchanging gifts too, so we'd all see and get to share in her laughter. Unfortunately she was the only one who found it funny. Everyone else just thought it was ducked up. I've got friends who are getting a can opener for Christmas. They don't have a lot of money and spend it all trying to keep their kids in sports, etc. They get cheap ones that always break. I'm getting a 41 for them as a thank you for everything they've done for me this year.